It's 2024 and more people are travelling by bus than any other form of public transport as they take people to work, school and play.
Buses are so much better. I think they're much more attractive now that they're electric.
Buses are the backbone of Britain's transport and one of the most environmentally friendly ways to move people around.
It's about making sure that the frequencies we offer, the routes we offer, take people to where they want to go.
Talk about public transport in this country, so much of it, of that is the bus. Rail is the thing that people think of, but the majority of passenger journeys in the UK every day on a local basis are with the bus.
And more people are travelling by bus as bus companies and local councils work together and make improvements.
It's not about going with cap in hand to ask for funding. I think it's about working with the local councils.
So we've been and ridden several of the best routes, talked to people along the way, including many professionals in their field, so that these successes can be replicated and encourage even more people to use the bus.
There's no other way to travel. If you cut me open, I think buses would stream out of my veins.
Not only are they asking you to take them from A to B, they're also saying, there is 10 minutes of my life I'm putting in your hands. Now make that 10 minutes an experience I will absolutely adore so much that I'm going to come back and do it again.
This is Britain's buses at their best. To start my adventure of Britain's best buses, I fancy a day out down at the seaside. So I head to the south coast, to Poole and Bournemouth, where Go South Coast operate. The M1 and M2 is a high-frequency route. There are 16 buses an hour, that's one every 3 3/4 minutes, alternating every 7.5 minutes between an M1 and an M2. It's a high-frequency service because it's been proven that that's what the passengers want, because it means that they can just turn up and go at almost any time, knowing that they're never going to have to wait that long for the next bus. And for the last set of passenger figures, ridership is up by 10% on this route, and it's crazy to think that once they were single-decker buses many years ago, but now the new buses are these very impressive double-deckers, and they would add more buses to the route if necessary.
So these M1 and M2 buses are new, and indeed some are still being delivered at the moment. We bought new double-deckers to replace the single-deckers on those routes because we've had a lot of growth in passenger journeys, so the buses were getting busier, and we're at risk of leaving people behind, which we don't want to do. We want everyone to have a seat. So we've got these new buses, we've got these brand new type of seats on them, which are our most comfortable seat ever, our best seat ever are on these buses. We've preempted legislation with putting the display for people in the wheelchair bay. These are really great buses.
Ray Stenning is a prolific designer in the transport industry, and he agrees the experience that you get on a bus is something that will get people coming back.
If shopping, if you go into Selfridges or somewhere, and things, it's an experience and you like it and you linger and or even if you don't linger, you enjoy the time you have spent there. And you should enjoy the time you spend on a bus as much as possible. It may not be, people go into a coffee shop, it's not just, oh God, I've got to have a drink, I'm thirsty, gulp, gulp, they actually like the ambience, the feeling, the sort of the
experience.
The experience, yes. And that's what it's all about.
So I hop onto a recently delivered double-decker for a ride from Poole into neighbouring Bournemouth on route M1. Not every urban corridor is as busy as the Poole to Bournemouth route and can't sustain such a high frequency. But what comes over is how Managing Director Andrew Wickham and his team are constantly seeking ways to attract more passengers. Improving frequencies with regular investment in smart-looking, comfortable buses is one of their key strategies. A lot of attention has gone into the detailed specification of the buses, including an attractive floor design which makes for a great ambience on board. Urban bus networks all over Britain can play a critical role in achieving modal shift, but motorists won't give up the comfort of their cars if the bus is dour-looking and infrequent. And then I get to Bournemouth Town Centre and alight there, even though the bus carries on to the Royal Bournemouth Hospital on the east side of town. Made it to Bournemouth, actually got here quicker than I was expecting. Was that me, or did that journey feel like it took quicker than was scheduled? I think we sped along the road, didn't hit any temporary traffic lights, roadworks, no peak hour traffic jams, speedy service and frequent. Yeah, well I was waiting at Poole bus station having a cup of tea. I was watching the buses come through at a very rapid rate. It's quite surprising. I mean, I expect that in London, being from London, but outside of London, to see that high frequency of buses was quite incredible. So yeah, a really, really good, fast, frequent service down here between Bournemouth and Poole. And also, those just might be some of the most comfortable bus seats I've ever sat on. I texted my friend while I was on the bus saying, most comfortable bus seats ever, question mark, and I think they might just be. So that is a fast service, that is a frequent service, that is a comfortable service. There is no reason why you wouldn't want to use that bus. Loved it. And I'd asked Andrew about the high frequency of this service.
I think that's quite unusual for services anywhere in the UK, to be honest. I don't know much in London that operates that frequently, other than where services join up together, which I guess is the case here. Each of the individual routes is every 7.5 minutes, and that's pretty frequent. There'll be places where they're more frequent, but certainly for towns the size of Poole and Bournemouth, yes, that is very frequent.
And the route is so popular, the most recent passenger numbers shows that it's still growing.
Well, it's interesting, I was talking to the team this morning, we're actually seeing at the moment 10% more people using these routes than used them last year, so we're getting really good growth with it. As I said, we were getting worried about leaving people behind with the single deckers. We're now starting to hear of the odd double decker journey being completely full up, so whether we will have to put some more on or not, we don't know yet. It's particular journeys, and because they're so frequent, probably people can space themselves out. But if we need to, we will put more buses on. What we're here to do is to move people around, so we need to give them a seat.
The next day, I travelled to Yorkshire to ride on the number 36 between Harrogate and Leeds. Described by some as being the perfect bus service, I was keen to discover what makes this service so special and so popular, with features that other bus companies could adopt on their networks. Route 36 runs from Ripon through Harrogate down to Leeds and return. It's known as an interurban service that many people prefer to use instead of taking the train, or, more importantly, driving a car and adding to congestion on the roads. Is it £2 flat fare, yeah?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Railways are often marketed as an experience in their own right, but this is what the number 36 is doing, being marketed as an experience on the bus rather than just a means to an end. In 2011, when Transdev took over, they gave the entire fleet a refurb, including a new livery, and brilliantly a 2+1 seating arrangement on the upper deck. In 2016, a new fleet of buses were introduced, the Volvo B5TLs, and they've been wowing the public ever since. It does feel like a maximum comfort bus, with USB charging at every seat, free Wi-Fi, and there's skylights in the roof as well. Downstairs, there's a library shelf where you can pick up a book to read, and maybe leave one yourself in exchange. And the onboard announcements are made by former Look North presenter Harry Gratian, as he announces nearby tourist attractions that are en route.
You're on the Moortown line. This bus for Chapel Allerton and Leeds.
When the service received its first pioneering upgrade with the new double-decker buses back in 2003, some in the bus world observed that the extra cost and luxury could never be sustained. But over the last 20 years, that's proven not to be the case, and the service now acts as a quality benchmark that others have followed. Many new bus fleets incorporate the highest spec to be found on the 36, although surprisingly few have adopted the 2+1 seating style, yet that really does stand out as a first-class style feature on this service. And since we've recorded this, the route has evolved some more, with electric EV buses now being installed. And pantograph chargers have been installed at Harrogate bus station, which is where the buses top up. The livery for the 36 was designed by Ray, who's passionate about it being the best. But does he have any other favourites?
The Which Way up in Lancashire, I think that looks pretty startling, pretty stunning. I mean, it's collaboration with the people there that we work with. Often with these things, you know, it's the coming together. If you take, for example, I don't like saying the client, but I mean, if you have someone who believes in what you do and your thoughts are, both of you, you're completely aligned in the same way. You're looking to achieve the same thing, the same goal, what you want to do. It can be magic because you spur each other on. I mean, there's nothing wrong with a client that actually says, you know what you're doing, do the best sort of thing. That's fine. But actually, if you are working with someone and you know that, you know, it accelerates the whole sort of process, the whole. You know, you fire each other up, you spark off each other, and you get the best result that way.
Next stop is Benson Street.
The service terminates and starts again for the return journey at the very busy Leeds bus station. That has got to be some of the strongest branding I've ever seen on a bus. What I immediately noticed at Harrogate bus station was that the 36 to 36, it's got its own logo. When I think of London buses, they just have the standard typeface. But here, someone's obviously gone, we're going to very specifically brand this. You know you're on a 36. And then when we were in North Yorkshire, the bus stops also had the same logo, like embossed, etched into the bus stop. So like you knew you're on the 36. Unfortunately, when you come into West Yorkshire, you get the Metro with the M branding instead. They should brand that all the way through. So it's very clear that it's like, yeah, you're on the 36 and you're getting this bus and you know where you are, and that's great. They call it an interurban service, but it's a 10-minute frequency on that core section, which is a turn up and go service. And for that, you get a very luxurious bus. Downstairs, 2x2 seating, but upstairs, there's like first class. You get 2x1 seating, and it's like, hey, all this space. Very comfortable, very luxurious. You could almost like recline in the seats spread out. And I quite enjoyed the PAs as well. Instead of being the same static PAs, there was a little bit of character to the PA announcement. Hey, why don't you get out here and visit this attraction, or the next stop is that. It seemed to vary up each time. So clearly a lot of thought has been put into this route, and as an alternative to the train, and it is cheaper, especially at the moment with the £2 thing, it's a very strong alternative, and it goes down the road which the railway doesn't follow. So there are some towns and villages on the route between Harrogate and Leeds which obviously aren't served by the train. Yeah, I enjoyed that.
I chose the 36 because it comes right by my house, and I didn't want to park. I'll have the stress of parking to come to the conference, so it was easier for me today just to catch the bus. There's a few different bus companies that like come down that road, and the 36 is kind of, I guess, like the posher of the buses because it comes from Harrogate. So yeah, it's definitely kind of a different feel. There's like charging points and things. I guess there's like more resources.
It's the next week, and I'm back down on the south coast to catch the number 12 coaster service. That starts at Eastbourne and heads west along the south coast through Newhaven, which is where I'm getting on, and then heads west to Brighton. And as it travels along the coast road through Saltdean and Rottingdean, there's a brilliant piece of infrastructure in place which ensures that the bus doesn't get snarled up in the morning commuter traffic. On the South Coast Road, as the bus head west, there's a 2-mile stretch of road starting just after Peacehaven, which has a bus lane that cars obviously aren't allowed to use. So the number 12 coaster and other routes speed on through, with other traffic regularly queuing in the morning, making the bus a quicker commuter option instead of driving. The bus lane was controversial when first introduced in 2008, with local authorities being accused of taking road space away from motorists. But it's proved to be a huge success, with the bus company increasing frequencies providing a turn-up-and-go service. At peak times, more than half the people entering Brighton along this corridor now travel by bus, thus using road space effectively and an impressive market share for the bus.
We fortuitously picked a glorious day for it. The sun's out, it's gorgeous. So that was that magnificent moment. We came up the hill, down the hill, up the hill, and we were just sailing along in the bus lane, queue of traffic on our right, seeing the beach to the left, and the buses are just whizzing along non-stop. Fantastic.
I chat to Brighton and Hove's managing director, who explains how this innovation has come about with local working and how well it's received by the passengers.
Just the fact that it goes through some stunning scenery, we've got superb frequency, it's got great bus priority that we've been able to put in place through great partnership with the local councils, and it just works really well, and we've been able to make the product just superb. You know, we've just put new buses out on the route, and it's just really well liked by our customers.
I prefer getting the bus because mainly it's easier for me with the traffic going on the coast road back to Saltdean where I live. I've tried driving before, and to be honest, it's a lot quicker going on the bus with the bus routes.
I think it's the convenience and the not having to be, you know, you can do other things while you're sitting on the bus. You can read your emails, you can answer messages, you can read a book. whereas obviously you can't do that in the car. You've got to be sort of alert all the time.
So sometimes when I'm commuting to work, sometimes when I'm commuting on the bus, I look at the traffic queuing all the way along the coast road, and I actually see people that I know and work with. I give them little waves. I'm zooming off down the road.
And then cost is the other thing. The bus is quite cheap, whereas parking, particularly in Brighton now, is quite expensive and sometimes quite difficult to find. You have to drive round and round the block a few times before you can find somewhere to park.
And it's consistent and frequent and runs all day.
Well, we run it super early in the morning till super late at night, 7 days a week. So we provide a service that people can genuinely think, actually, do you know what? I don't need a car. And that's what it's all about making a bus service that people can depend upon.
Our number 12 terminates outside Brighton Station, with happy commuters on their way to work who didn't have to drive here or make the effort to park anywhere. Next, I want to go for a ride on a number 7 bus. That goes between Brighton Marina, the city centre, and across to Hove Station and shopping area. And it's a really frequent route with a double-deck bus every 6 minutes, as Ed explains.
Yeah, so we've now got that every 6 to 7 minutes, and that's literally, in our mind, a turn up and go service. And we reintroduced that higher timetable after the pandemic just in the last few months, and actually our intention is that when that's successful, we'll look to try and build that even further.
Brighton and Hove buses are hugely successful. They see the highest use of buses per head outside of London, and they have a long-established strong partnership working with the city and county councils. One area being in investing in new buses and being renowned for best practice in their accessible features on their buses.
It's really critical for us as a business. We've got to make the bus as accessible as possible for everyone who might want to use it, and that's all about being a really successful operator and making people want to travel by bus. So by standard, we've got double wheelchair spaces. We've got all the features that you can think of to help make the bus as accessible as possible to all different user groups. And we're pushing the manufacturers. We're pushing the DfT about what more can be done. One of the things we're doing at the moment, all the buses are accessible now to a certain standard, but is the bus stop infrastructure at the side of the road supporting that? So we're working with the DfT, we're pushing the DfT to say, actually, what is an accessible bus stop? What is that standard? And actually we should have one, because there's still a bit of a lottery to allow people to access the infrastructure that buses need to operate on. So that's another thing we're trying to do now, to take the standard beyond.
Ed is clearly passionate about buses, and it was a joy to talk to him about Brighton. But what came through most of all was his strong belief to ties with the local community, to provide the service that they want.
So everything we do is underpinned by marketing and about our work in the community. We've got to have a strong marketing presence, and we've got to have really, really good links in the community. We're a service that people depend on to lead their lives. So we've got to work with the community groups, we've got to work with lots of people and be a really, really good partner. So we do a load of work there, loads of great work in terms of supporting local good causes.
My next bus takes me to Hertfordshire to ride the 907. That's a fairly new route that was introduced in April 2023. It was funded by the Bus Service Improvement Plan, the BSIP. But what is that? So I caught up with Dan Tancock from Hertfordshire County Council to find out more.
The Bus Service Improvement Plan is born out of monies from central government given to local authorities. It was a competitive process whereby the local authorities had to go to government for funding. Hertfordshire was successful in getting 29.7 million for their bus service improvement plan. We were expected to spend money on ticketing initiatives to make it a little bit less confusing for the public, introducing infrastructure measures, other sort of publicity to actually raise the profile of the Interlink network we have in Hertfordshire.
Interlink is the brand name Hertfordshire has given to its overarching coordinated approach to organising and promoting public transport in the county since 1999, and more recently has seen a statutory partnership established with the bus operators. So at Stevenage bus station, I get on board a 907, buying my ticket for just £2 and speed on south. This is one of the new bus routes, and I'm looking out for a particular point where, as we leave Stevenage, there's a section of bus-only road. There is a bollard which raises up and down, as it's a dedicated road to allow just the buses through, and thus save valuable time compared to what motorists would face for a similar journey. The brand new buses used on the 907 are operated for the County Council by Centrebus in a dedicated livery which promotes the new service. The bus improvement plan also allowed for more frequent buses between certain towns, as Dan explains.
One which had previously only had a relatively poor service was between Hertford and Stevenage. Our aspiration was to get up to 4 buses an hour on the major corridors. Currently Hertford-Stevenage only had an hourly service, so we thought 4 buses an hour was probably overkill, but we wanted to provide at least, we wanted to double the service to have a 30-minute service between Hertford and Stevenage. We've got an existing route, the 390. We did think, well, do we actually duplicate that, or do we sort of think out the box a bit and do a parallel service to the 390, running it via Ware, which previously had very poor links to Stevenage. We developed the timetable so that the 2 routes actually provided a sort of clock face 30-minute departure times between Hertford and Stevenage where we could. Obviously we had to work around the school services.
And encouragingly, for a brand new bus route, the number of passengers attracted to use it in its first year has been hugely encouraging and vindicates Hertfordshire's investment.
I'm sat at the back and the bus is it is speeding along. This is not a slow bus, this is a fast route whizzing along the roads. I'm going to go to Ware and it's only going to take me around 25-30 minutes to get there, which is very good time.
As the bus pulls away from Ware, my feeling is that the 907 is absolutely an impressive addition to the county's bus network. Now, when back in Bournemouth, I'd also taken the opportunity to speak to Tom Quay. He's the owner of Passenger. That's the bus industry's leading technology company, renowned for making products for bus companies to use, such as websites and apps for their passengers.
So we have what is called a white labelled SaaS product. It's a platform that bus companies can use to power their websites, their apps, all branded up as their own kind of company. So it's a sort of behind the scenes platform that allows their customers, their passengers, to buy a ticket, work out exactly how to get somewhere, work out what buses are around them. So they can go from not knowing anything about public transport or how to use a bus, finding out all the information they need in the app, through to actually working out what ticket to buy and buying that ticket ready to travel.
The app is brilliant for bus companies because it saves them having to develop their own technology in-house. And Tom and his team at Passenger have devised an easy-to-use format that each bus company or local authority can then use with their own branding, customising it to their own services.
The benefits of having a product in the market that you can buy, you pay a licence for, you actually sort of get access to quite advanced technology quite quickly, and you can be competing or providing that level of service to your customers quite quickly without the headache of having to grow a technology team when your core business is not that.
And Tom thinks that this leads to a streamlined experience for the passenger, which then should encourage more people to get on board and use more buses.
So our journey planning tools will show them the way, it will show them the fare, it will show them what ticket options they've got, it'll allow them to buy it there and then, instantly, so no smart card that's needing to be posted out into the house that the person lives in. They can buy it straight away, a QR code will appear on that device, and they can scan that on the bus straight away.
Now, I'd also spotted at Poole bus station earlier a box of paper timetables that had been put out, and the question does seem to remain, should we go purely digital or still produce paper booklets and timetables for passengers? Tom is very much in the digital world.
There is a huge amount of amazing opportunity with the technology to enable disabled users or people with accessibility needs. Things like VoiceOver on a mobile phone is phenomenal. If you can't see exactly what you are doing with a device, to have it read to you, this becomes your lifeline. So this assumption that the older generation or different demographics must have printed media or they must have certain types of access to information. I think we underestimate sometimes how the digital technology can really support particular demographics.
If you want people to use public transport, you must inspire them to do so. So even before they've got on a bus or a train or whatever it is, the publicity should be anything, whether it's online, printed, whatever. It should look, it should bring them in. It should seduce them, intoxicate them, make them actually, I've got to have this, I've got to have this.
Well, what we have is the current Moorbus timetable book, This is essential. Why would we not do everything we can to tell our customers about our services? Some people like to get their information on these books. Some people prefer the app. We've got a great app. Some people like to use that. Some people like online. We offer all options to people so they can get their information however they want to receive it.
For my next bus ride, I've come to Leicester to see the amazing transformation of the city's buses thanks to an excellent partnership working arrangement between the City Council and the multiple bus companies operating in the city and the surrounding county.
So we're all part of the Leicester Buses partnership. We meet regularly. You know, there's been an awful lot of coordination and cooperation in terms of bringing that to fruition. You know, we've got integrated ticketing, so every bus in Leicester's got tap on, tap off, and we were the first city to make that multi-operator. So you can tap on a first bus, an Arriva bus, a centre bus in one day, and it will be capped at the multi-operator ticket price, which, you know, sounds simple, and it is simple for the passengers. You know, it's a great thing to offer, but the amount of work that went into that in setting it up as part of Project Coral was immense.
And also being used more and more are electric buses. Centrebus have 14, and in Leicester you'll see loads of these on the streets.
We've future-proofed the depot, so we could go to a full electric fleet over time, and that's what we're hoping to do. The buses that we operate at the moment are owned by Leicester City Council because we run them on their tendered routes. And yeah, I mean we've found that the passengers love the electric buses. And it's not just Centrebus. You know, if you go down into Leicester now, every second bus is an electric bus. We're looking to get, as a partnership, we're looking to get to around 150 buses this year.
And then we've got to talk about the Hot Bus. Launched in April 2023, it's a loop service around the city that runs every 10 minutes Monday to Saturday. And yes, the best thing about it is that it's completely free. How does that work?
I mean, the initial idea came from the City Council. We were very instrumental in helping them bring it to fruition, you know, in terms of choosing the route that the bus operates, in terms of selecting the vehicle that we use on the route and so on. But these buses were funded through Zebra and part of the Transport in Cities Fund. So this bus actually belongs to the City Council. And we operate on their behalf.
We only managed to deliver it because we had the City Mayor on our side, and he was keen to get that integration. So the reason we've got the free bus is to better integrate the city centre and provide interchange onto other commercial services, and that's how we got the support of higher up in the council and also the bus operators as well, because it's about creating a network and not looking at the service individually.
The relationship with the City Council is like you say, it's not always plain sailing. If we want to fund a bus service, you know, you've got to be able to demonstrate that there's a gap in the market, that there's a need for the service. But you know, overall, the network is well covered, you know, commercially, with the non-commercial bits covered and funded by the City Council.
We have this fun little ribbit noise. That's probably the most. The thing that we get the most comment on, because it's if you're in the city centre, you'll hear a ribbit, and your immediate reaction is to turn around and you'll see the hot bus. It's quite a colourful bus, and you turn around, look at it, and you smile. That's your default reaction. And I've actually seen it myself, where you notice people's reaction and the fact that it's fun, I think, and kind of people are associating fun with buses almost because of the noise as well. So it's been a brilliant marketing tool.
To have a good experience, all the touch points at everything you have, you come into contact with the product, for want of a better word, should be. It probably can't be perfect, but as close as perfect you can get. So before you make a journey, you know, the information you get hold of is clear, unambiguous, and it's exciting. It makes you actually want to do it.
Well, it isn't just us. You know, we work really closely with the City Council and the Leicester Buses Partnership, which comprises of us and the other bus operators, Arriva, First, Stagecoach, and so on. So yeah, and we work really closely with them, and the free city bus is one of the outcomes of that. And we've seen massive, enormous passenger growth on this service since it started. It started back in March 2022, and we're now up to about 1,500 passengers a day on this service. So it's been really, really promising.
As well as meeting our need, I think it is creating something that's a little bit unique, and everyone stops and looks at, and actually the bigger impact that's having on the bus network is kind of, oh, actually, maybe I'd give more buses a go.
To help me sum up my thoughts at the end, I head out for one more day on the buses.
Yeah, I've literally come out for the day to Reading to ride Reading buses, the Reading bus network owned by the local council. And there's some very strong branding going on here. All the buses are of very vivid colours, and all the buses have names that are those colours.
So this documentary has set out to show Britain's buses at their best, and it's been commissioned by the 10% Club. That's a group of industry professionals who are keen to highlight success stories from around the country and to show others how these best practices can work for them as well. Not everywhere can have a bus every 3 minutes, or a dedicated bus lane, or 2x1 seating. But what comes out to me is that it shows that whoever controls bus networks across Britain, in the future, whether it's the local authority or private-owned bus company, a positive attitude is needed towards attracting more passengers to switch to travelling by bus. We've also shown you lots of things that only partnerships can do, and we've shown you how the professionals do it, and that this is the way forward to achieve more of Britain's best buses.
But it's been really great talking to all the people in making this documentary, so my thank you to all of you, and it's been really great just seeing along the way and getting that feeling that you really are passionate about what they do and their jobs, and they do believe that Britain's buses are the best. And there's just those little fun little moments in the outtakes where you discover that they really do love their buses.
I do love buses. I do.
Why do you love buses?
You're not filming this, are you?
Of course I am.
It's the variety of what you do. It's the people you meet. It's the things you get involved in. It's the stories that you end up being part of.
I believe in public transport. I believe very much in the role that public transport does, should and will in the future fulfil.
My love of buses came from when I started at secondary school, getting the school bus into school in Sussex.
Am I more of a tech nerd or a bus nerd? Do you know what I think? If there was a Venn diagram, I'd be this slither in the middle.
Every day you get involved in another superb bit of just industry, just the way it works, the way it ticks.
No, I do think Leicester's leading the way in terms of cooperation between operators and the City Council and getting things done, and improving the network.
And the next thing, I'm out driving a bus and experiencing it firsthand. And the next day we might be talking to a ticketing supplier about a new technology that we're looking to introduce. Just the variety.
When they get on there, they are not only are they asking you to take them from A to B, they're also saying there is 10 minutes of my life I'm putting in your hands.
That's what kindled my love of buses, and that sort of led to studying transport at university and having, I think this is my 37th year now.
The value I bring is this intersection of the two things in terms of being able to translate the complexities of data within transport, but also understanding the industry in a way that we can get stuff built and we can get stuff made and shipped to customers that will actually help them.
Now make that 10 minutes an experience I will absolutely adore so much that I'm going to come back and do it again.
Well, they provide such economical transport for people. They can go anywhere. They're quick to introduce if you want a new bus service. You just need to get the buses, give the appropriate sort of registration period and off you go. They're fully accessible, so they're open to everybody. They're just great, and they're such a good way of getting around local areas and further afield.
It's all those sort of things. It's yeah. Don't know what else to say.
There's no other way to travel. If you cut me open, I think buses would stream out of my veins.